morning, everyone. So I've had a few people ask me about having a tutorial done for Pic2Pat. Pic2Pat is a free website. That's a little bit not clear, but it's a free website that you can go on to turn any photograph that you have into a cross-stitch chart. You'll have to forgive the shakiness because I'm actually holding the camera now while I'm talking about this. This, as you know, is my Record Girls pattern that I made from a picture of a very old piece of artwork that I had that used to hang on my bedroom wall as a child. So basically, had a photo of a piece of art, entered it into this program, and it spit out the chart for me. Pic2Pat is very easy to use. It's very user-friendly. It's kind of self-explanatory, so I don't really know if a tutorial is necessary, but I'll walk you through the process anyway and just fill you in a couple things I figured out while making my patterns. Because I've done a couple now. This is one, and I'm also stitching, hang on, I've got another one here. I'm also stitching this pattern that I made from a photograph I had of my dad's boat. Okay? So basically, the pattern, when it prints, will give you a cover sheet that shows you the completed image, what the completed image will look like. It gives you a list of your DMC colors, or whichever thread you choose. Like if you chose anchor, that would print out a anchor list for you. And again, it let's see if I can get this to focus here. Oops. It prints off a list of the symbols, the colors, and the color names and numbers. Okay. Then it prints the chart. And I don't mind showing you my chart. This is my own chart that I made myself. Good luck to you if you want to stitch a 16-page chart from seeing one page of it. This is what the charts look like. They're very confetti heavy, similar to Heaven and Earth Design, because there is no back stitching. All of the detail for your pattern comes from your cross stitches. So because of that, if you have a fairly intricate or detailed picture, you're going to end up with a pattern that has a fair bit of confetti and only some blocks of color. Okay? So that is one thing about this program. It will spit out charts that are very confetti heavy for that reason, because that's the only way the detail can be gotten. The other thing about the charts is they come all numbered, page 1 of however many, but page number 1 is not necessarily your top left-hand corner where you would normally start a large full coverage cross-stitch piece. What you will have to do is you'll have to lay out your pattern on a floor space and put your pages in the order. And you'll be able to see the design in the pages. I know it doesn't make sense there now when you look at one page, but I'll lay it out in a minute and show you what I mean. Your stitch count shows all along the top here, okay? And it shows down the sides. So you would start with page that has the stitch 1 place at the top, 1, 2, however many, of course, at the bottom. And so you'll have to find which page that would be. Okay? So I will lay this out so I can show you the pages and how the pattern all looks together. And I will do a tutorial of the website itself if I can get my camera to focus on my laptop screen. Okay, so I'm just trying to get this in frame here. I have it laid out on my floor. This is my Pic2Pat pattern. for Record Girls, completely laid out. Page number, it goes page numbers 1 through 16. And the way I found that they work is typically page number 1 is going to be your bottom left-hand corner. So mine goes pages 1, 2, 3, and 4 across the bottom row, 5, 6, 7, and 8 across the next row up, 9, 10, 11, and 12 across the third row from the top, and 13, 14, 15, and 16 right across the top row. So my page 1 was actually my bottom left-hand corner. So I actually ended up having to start, because I wanted to start at my top left, I had to start with page 13 of 16. And as you can see, I highlight my charts as I go. Okay, so that's just the way they lay out. So if you do print off a chart from Pic2Pat, more often than not, I think you will find that page 1 is going to be your bottom left-hand corner of your design. But once you lay it out, you can actually see how the pattern goes. Oh, there goes my stitching buddy. She's checking out my chart. Is it okay, Maggie? Okay, so to get your stitch count, because the only thing that Pic2Pat does not give you with the pattern is the width and height of the chart, unless you actually look at the stitch count yourself and figure it out. So as you can see, page 13, okay, which is actually page 1, because it's my top left-hand photo, sorry, my top left-hand corner of my chart. I actually renumbered my picture page as page 1. Started with stitch number 1 and goes all the way across every 10. So this would be the 10 and this would be 11. So 11, 21. So I went all the way across all of my pages until I came to 251 and then counted across 258 stitches wide. Okay, so my chart is 258 stitches wide. And then because your chart goes from bottom to top with Pic2Pat, so like page 1 was actually my bottom left, page 13 was actually my top left, my stitch count came to 351 high, 51, 52, 53, 54. So that's actually 354 stitches high. So that's how big my chart is, 258 wide by 354 high. I selected 18 count for this chart. If you wanted to stitch it on something like 25 count, or if you wanted to stitch it on something like something larger like 14 count, you can refigure out the amount of the sizing for your piece by plugging your width and your height into a fabric calculator, and it will give you what your chart will be, okay, and how large you'll need to cut your fabric. Okay, so here is the Pic2Pat website. It is www.pic2pat.com, P-I-C and the number 2, pat.com. On the left-hand side of the screen, you can choose your language. Of course, I have English selected. And stitch a photo, cross-stitch charts from your own pictures free. So, step 1, you would have to select a photo that you want to use to create your chart from. Very simple. I'm just going to click on Browse, and it's going to take me to my cross-stitch folder where I'm going to select the JPEG for Record Girls that I have. I'm going to double-click that, and it's going to end up here in the file box, and I'm just going to click Next. So this site is very user-friendly. Here we go. Step 2, select your settings. So this is where you get to choose your brand of floss, how many stitches per inch you would like your fabric to be, and the size of your completed chart. Like when your design is finished, how large do you want the design to be? So over here on the right, oops, sorry, I just knocked the camera. I've kind of got an odd setup going on here with the camera in between my hands and between me and the laptop. Over to the right, you can see the drop box for your floss. You can choose DMC, Anchor, Madeira, or Venus. I'm actually going to select DMC. Then your fabric count, your stitches per inch. I selected 18 count for my Record Girls project. You can pick any size that you choose. One thing I will say is that for a very detailed, the more detailed you want your end result, your chart to be, the higher the stitch count you should select. The lower the stitch count, you're going to start giving up some of the quality of the end result of your picture. So typically I would say 14 to 18 count, but I chose 18 for my Record Girls pattern, and I believe I chose 16 count for my father's pattern. The one thing that I wish they did have was higher counts here, like if you wanted to do 25 count 1/1. However, you could just select 18 count and select your finish size as large as possible and then stitch it on 25 count, and it would actually show up, you know, your end result would actually be smaller than your chosen finish size, but you could certainly do a higher count fabric. You don't have to be tied to stitching it on 18 count just because you selected 18 count here. You can always change your fabric choice later on. So I selected 18 count. And for my finished design size, I actually picked a fairly large design for this one. The original poster that hung in my bedroom was about 16 by 20 when it was finished. So I actually chose, I think, the 14 by 7 by 20 inch here, if memory serves me, because it was a few months ago now that I did this pattern. So that's what I'm going to select today. Okay, so my finished design size on 18 count fabric. So then we're going to click Next. So this will give you several options for your finished picture. And we're going to scroll down. Okay. And the way these pictures work is it goes from the most detailed, which is going to be 75 colors, which is what my design is. It's 75 colors. Okay. 50 colors, 40 colors, 35 colors, 30 colors. But as you can see, the less colors you choose, let's scroll right to the bottom, sorry I don't want to make anybody sick, but the less colors you choose, the less detail you get. Like, can you see like the record, like the buttons on the record player and the detail in her shoes and her stockings? It's not very good on these photos. It's very pixely. The color in their cheeks is very pixely. Whereas, and again, the same thing with their skin. Their skin tones are very pink. The more colors you choose, they get more nice and flesh toned, more depth to the design. Again, I'm going to scroll to the top. Sorry if this is, just look away. This is the one I chose. It has a lot of detail. Like, you can see the difference in the record player there. Like, it's got a lot of detail in the record player itself, her shoes, the detail, her stockings. Because I guess I'm trying to film this on my iPad, it's not filming the computer screen really well. This design is not near as dark as it looks on my iPad. It's really quite vibrant colors, but for some reason the iPad is not really picking it up clearly. I guess it's because it's trying to film this bright screen and it's auto-adjusting the color. But this is really vibrant and really beautiful, and the flesh tones look good. So this is the one that I went with. I picked the one with the highest thread count, the highest stitch count and the largest size pattern. So it says once you're happy with it, you click on the design that you would like it to convert into a chart. So I'm going to choose this one, 75 colors, 101 skeins it says. And then what happens, oh, my screen goes all funny, but that's just because I'm filming this, of course, on my laptop. It says it's generating and loading your chart, which can take a couple of minutes. So you just let that roll. I have found that some pictures will actually work better with Pic2Pat than others. So as we can see, this is still thinking. It should only take a minute or two. Here we go. So here is my PDF file, okay, of my finished chart. And as you can see, it's color. I printed mine in black and white, okay, but it does give you the chart. The actual photograph will be in color. I don't know if you can see that there very well with all this scrolling in the background. It's kind of, let me see if I can get that to, yeah, it's because of this. Let me just see if I can minimize that to stop some of this scrolling. Maximize this chart. There we go. So here's my chart, my finished chart. Okay. How it's going to look once it's stitched up. All right. That's page 1. Page 2. And it will give you this, you know, cross stitch pattern name or whatever, but as you will see, it doesn't give you what your stitch count is. You have to figure that out yourself. And I'll show you how to do that. Here's the actual page 1 of the pattern. Okay, gives you all the symbols there. All right, and I'm going to go actually all the way to the last page here. Let's see, so let's try page 16. So that's page 15 of 16. There we go. So when you get to the end of the chart, it actually gives you your DMC list, the symbols, the colors, the number of skeins it requires, the color code for DMC, and then the name of the DMC color. So that's all 75 colors listed there. Okay, and that's the end of the chart. So that's Pic2Pat. It is not difficult to use. It's fairly straightforward. You may have to play around with the, just let me get back to the site. You may have to play around, like I can go back here now. Let's see if I can go back. You may have to play around with this. For example, I'll just show you. If I chose 14 count, for example, and I only wanted it 10 by 14, okay, you can see that my design is actually going to be a little more pixelated. It's not going to come out looking like a photograph or looking like a print. It's going to be a little more pixely. If I chose, again, it still is 75 colors. Let's have a look at what this chart looks like in comparison to the 18 count with the larger size pattern. Let's open the file. Just take a second for the file to open there. So there you go, right? It's just a little more pixely. You can see the grid lines of the actual pattern. Of course, that's not going to show up on your stitched piece, but Yeah, so it's more pixely. More pixely? Yeah, I don't even know if that's right grammar. Yeah, so I don't know if, you know, like I say, you have to play around with the program a little bit to find a finished chart that you are going to be happy with, and you're going to be happy with the final outcome of it. See, I didn't like the loss of detail. You know, you can't really see any detail of the design in her stockings. Yeah, so that's why I chose a larger, much higher stitch count, because I wanted it to be as detailed as possible. I did the same thing with my father's boat pattern. So yeah, that's it. That is Pic2Pat. Hopefully this helped some of you guys out who were curious about the program itself. I don't have any affiliation with this program. I literally stumbled upon it online one day when I was looking for a photo converter that was free, because I really did not want to, converting pictures wasn't something I thought at the time that I would do a lot, and I didn't want to have to pay for an expensive program that I would then have to learn how to use. I wanted a little bit of instant gratification, and I wanted to be able to just, you know, plug a photo into something online and get an instant result. And I have to say, I am very pleased with this. Anyone who follows me on Instagram at Pammy Papers, will get, I mean, you will see that this chart is actually stitching up very, very lovely. It's coming out quite well. And my dad's chart, the boat, I have to say I am quite pleased with that. It is turning out just lovely as well. So if you have any other questions about this website, about my experience with the website, I can't speak from the design of the website or fix anything. I have absolutely zero affiliation with this website at all. It was something I stumbled upon. It was something I found that helped me a great deal and that I liked using. So if you have any questions about my experience with it, or things that I found that worked or didn't work, feel free to put your comments. Feel free to put your comments in the description, or sorry, in the comments below, or your question, I should say, in the comments below, and I'll do my best to answer them as best I can. Again, I'm only answering them based on being a user of this website. That's my little tutorial. That's my little review of Pic2Pat. I hope it helps some of you out, and have a great stitchy day, and we'll see you soon.